We're live. Okay, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. It's 2022. We're back to talk reviews. We didn't do a prediction for this fight. Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin for an IBF eliminator, not a final eliminator, but an eliminator, all the same. PPC show on New Year's Day. I'm here with Rick. We're going to just sort of dissect this fight. Also, Frank Sanchez, we were interested in that fight as well, which was on the undercard versus Christian Hamer. Thanks ever so much to everybody that subscribed to the channel. I think on our last video, we did, I think we must have had about 15 subscribers. So thank you so much to everybody for subscribing. It really does help us out. And yeah, please, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Again, we're not far off 100 now. I think we've done 127 videos, so video per sub isn't fantastic, but you know, we're enjoying ourselves. It's good fun.
It's picking up though. Yes, help us get to 100.
Yeah, it's picking up.
We don't mind. A sympathy sub is great.
Yeah, or just random abuse. Abuse is fine. I don't mind. It's all good fun. All right, let's get on with it. So, Luis Ortiz, Charles Martin, pay-per-view. It's an absolute disgrace this is a pay-per-view. I think we talked about this at the time that it was announced. I didn't watch it live. I watched it the next day. I thought it was generally quite a low level, like a low quality fight. I mean, it was a little bit kind of back and forth, and Charles Martin obviously drops Ortiz a couple of times. I think first in the first round, and then Luis Ortiz, I think, was generally doing the better work. He looked a lot more sort of comfortable in there. He looks a lot slower. I think he's visibly slower. I mean, he was never particularly fast, but I thought he was visibly slower. And it looks like his punch resistance is going down as well, because I think he got knocked down by a jab, a Charles Martin jab, which isn't a good look. But then eventually getting to him in round 6 and catching him on the temple. And Charles Martin was in cuckoo land. He didn't know where he was. So it was actually a decent stoppage, I thought, in the end. But a lot of holes, I think, in Luis Ortiz's game. I probably don't have Ortiz in my top 20 now. I don't know about you. What did you think of it?
The biggest thing that struck me actually was, even before the fighting, the atmosphere was awful.
Yeah.
It reminded me when Hearn used to put them on in Monte Carlo, and there's just no atmosphere. And I looked, and there seemed to be people in there, but it just seemed to be like, I don't know, no real atmosphere. But I don't know where it was held. I'm not sure I noticed Ortiz getting slower, but he was not fast anyway. So I don't know. He may have slowed down, but because he's that slow anyway, I don't think I noticed it. Yeah. I really noticed the punch resistance. Yeah. I think both knockdowns were quite soft, like you're saying. And when you get knocked down off a jab, the only time you should ever really get knocked down off a jab is when you're exhausted, like Yard got knocked down by a jab, you know, when he was absolutely exhausted, but he wasn't exhausted at that stage. No. So even if you kind of run into it, which is what he did. Yeah, and I think he's in the top 20. I mean, Martin's like very, I mean, you look at it now, and I mean, I remember going into that AJ fight with him going, you know, this guy can bang a bit, you know, and you wouldn't give Martin, you probably would give Martin 3 rounds against AJ. Even AJ now, that's probably not as trigger happy as he used to be. Because he's just quite easy to hit. He doesn't throw that much. He's a bit, you know, does the odd thing okay. And I think Martin now is probably gone down to kind of a gatekeeper level. Yeah. After this, or just not fight at all, whether he needs to. I know he's had a few decent paydays. Ortiz is in the top 20, maybe just, but not high. I think, you know, he may give some of the top 10 an awkward first few rounds. Yeah. Like him and Dillian White, I think, you know, White would take a while to work him out. He might catch White a couple of times, but I think the moment White lands something, curtains probably.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and I'd say that with most of them, Dubois or something like that, because I mean, he still must contain a bit of power because Martin didn't quite know where he was. I've never seen Martin hurt that bad.
Yeah.
But again, it was a shot that he shouldn't have been getting caught with. You know, you could see it coming a mile. I know it's easy me saying that, but you know, a fight of any level should have, you know, not had that land. And I don't think he gets that I don't think he gets that far into a fight against some of the top boys.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think his days, you know, he's got better days are well behind him. So yeah, I mean, I don't see where Charles Martin goes from here. Maybe a good opponent for a Dillian White or a Derek Chisora if he doesn't get the Tyson Fury fight. Luis Ortiz. I mean, I think if that was
Ruiz.
if I'm led,
it's got Ruiz written all over it. I think.
Do you think so?
I think so. I mean, I think it's PBC again, so that's a big thing. Apparently, he called him out. I don't think Ortiz is someone who, you know, I think he almost gets told what to say, and it just makes sense because I think, you know, it's creating shows without over damaging your stable in a sense, and it's like, you know, Ortiz is now dispatched of Martin, so Ortiz's stock goes back up again. You know, Heyman will expect Ruiz to dispatch of Ortiz. Ortiz has only been beaten by Deontay Wilder, and therefore Ruiz is will be kind of tipped then that, you know, he's back in the running in the top 3 or 4.
So you don't think he'll take that?
That's how it'll be sold.
Yeah. You don't think they'll take that Hrgović fight if a final eliminator?
Who?
Luis Ortiz and PBC, because that's really the next fight, isn't it? Because if it's an eliminator for the IBF, he'll be next in line.
I don't, because I think they won't back him to win, and I don't think if that purse bid's anything to Dubai that they'll want anything to do with that. So it's like low money and
high risk, low
high
reward.
risk.
Yeah,
and I think they'd rather stick him in with Andy Ruiz, earn 100% of that deal, and then the winner, they get value for the winner.
Yeah. I think I prefer I think Joseph Parker is next in line on the IBF, and I think I prefer Parker and Hrgović, and that would probably be a fight easier to make as well. That's be a cracking fight.
I won't mind betting. What ends up happening is Ruiz fights Ortiz, with the winner that they'll be hoping is Ruiz fights Wilder after Wilder's had probably a comeback fight.
Yeah. What's the latest with him? Have you heard about him coming back?
I've not, to be honest, but to be fair, the fight wasn't that long ago, was it? So
yeah,
it's not unusual to be this quiet for a while, and then, you know, when there's no rematch clause or anything. So I imagine if he's going to come back, he'll have another fight probably in the summer, and then maybe a showdown with Ruiz in December or something.
Right.
Again, that's just a way of keeping 100% of the revenue of each of these fights, but the winner, they pass on the value. The winner value gets passed on, but retained in PBC until they build that fighter up, and then they'll go for a belt. You know what I mean? And take the risk then.
Yeah. It's very frustrating as a fan, but yeah, I see what you're saying. What did you make of Frank Sanchez on the undercard against Christian Hamer?
I'll be honest, I watched the highlights of that one, and it kept missing like loads of rounds. So I'm guessing it wasn't the most entertaining fight. I don't know about you. I just watched the highlights of that, and it like went from round 1 to 3, then jumped to 6 and 9, and then it was like so. It can't have been a great fight. I just saw a lot of decent, from the highlights, some decent body work from Sanchez, him being the aggressor, Hammer almost trying to stay in there. I think he got knocked down once. That was, I think it was a kind of slip come shot.
It's a bit unfortunate,
and it was
actually.
Quite heavy on the scorecards. But I don't know, though. I think if Frank Sanchez wanted to make a statement, he's got to be probably knocking Hammer out.
Yeah, it was a dominant win, dominant performance. It looked like he kind of fatigued a little bit towards the end. So still working on a few things. I don't know if he's maybe a bit too muscle bound. But he's really their hope, I think, their next heavyweight, big heavyweight prospect at the PBC. Yeah, I'd agree. I think he has really good to be knocking him out. Didn't Tyson Fury stop him like years ago? and he was probably on the juice at that then.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange performance, but yeah, I wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a fantastic card considering it was a pay-per-view event.
I mean, that's a good person for Wilder to come back against.
Christian Hamer,
someone like that for his first fight back.
Yeah,
and then fight the winner of Ortiz Ruiz.
Yeah, target practice.
At his age, you can't have tons of comeback fights. You've got to go in at some kind of level. He's probably, I don't know where he'd stick Hammer now, but he's like between top 30, 40.
Yeah. And it'll be tricky to match as well, Deontay Wilder, because there are people that can outbox him. Like Arthur Spilker was outboxing him until he got flatlined. Gerald Washington was outboxing Deontay Wilder. I remember that one very well. I think I only gave Wilder one round before he completely sparked him in round 5. So yeah, not easy to match. But yeah, we'll see. I would like to see Deontay Wilder come back. It would be good.
Yeah.
Good for the division.
I've not seen the other fights, but Rice beat Coffey again, second time round.
Okay.
I think it was a stoppage. Again, because the first one was an upset. But I couldn't find highlights of that when I was looking. And again, I didn't see this fight, but Washington lost against, can't remember his name, but that basically means he's done, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. Or maybe another gatekeeper. I mean, how many losses is Derek Chisora chalked up now? 13, 12?
Yeah, but at least he's losing to decent level. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Well, bit of a strange fight to review, New Year's Day and all, but we thought we'd put out a quick video. I don't think there's any other big fights. I think with the next prediction video we're going to do is Joe Smith Jr. versus Callum Johnson. So maybe we can do that one next week. And then let's do a quick boxing news. I think there's a few things that we can talk about.
Yeah, I think there'll be more news next week because I think we'll get more. I think things are gone quiet a bit, and then hopefully from tomorrow onwards we'll be getting more IFL and Box Nation interviews.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's wrap it up. Thanks everybody for listening.